This episode of Small Business Leaders Podcast is brought to you by Adams Lane Photography. Hi, and welcome to Small Business Leaders Podcast, coming to you from the Legacy Podcast Studios in Kernersville, North Carolina. I'm Audra Adams, and this is my co-host, Lamar Powell.
Hi, and welcome to this episode. Today, we have as our guest Austin Moody of Mach Marketing. And that's a very important subject for small businesses, small business owners. And so we're going to learn about Austin today, what his passion is, what his business provides. And so let's get started.
Hi, Austin, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners what you do?
Yeah, so Mach Marketing is a social media marketing company that focuses on lead generation for blue-collar companies.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So we always do this. Lamar knows we always do this. We talk about the company for a minute, but we want to go back and get how you got to where you are today.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think that is so valuable for anyone, entrepreneurs, business owners, period, is for all of us to kind of gain a little bit of wisdom of each of the stories that we have on here. So where'd you grow up?
So I actually grew up in Winston-Salem. I grew up in Winston-Salem. I was born in Forsyth Hospital.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I actually have a cousin. His fiance is now working in the delivery center. So, it's a big circle. But yeah, so I grew up in Winston-Salem. I went to West Forsyth High School. I was not a good student. Not at all.
You know what? We hear that a lot from our entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the same. Were you a good student?
No.
Okay.
I was pretty bad. I did not, put the effort in. I didn't put the time in. I was barely ever there.
How did you get wait, were your parents in jail for that?
No. No, they were. My dad was in Virginia, and my mom was right here in Winston-Salem.
I mean, truancy laws, like, how did
we get away with that?
Yeah, how did you get away with that?
You know what? It's now that we're talking back that memory. I don't know. I have no idea.
You got away with it.
I got away with it. I wasn't there often. I guess because I think at 16, right? You're at that point. It starts to become. To where you're allowed to I guess leave. When you kind of, they don't.
Yeah. You were honing your entrepreneur skills early.
That's right. Yeah. So, well.
Yeah. Why were you at school? You just didn't like it, or you were bored?
No, I was bored. I was bored. And let me just say for all the viewers, like, that's not a good excuse. So if you're an entrepreneur, and you want to start a business, finish school. It's funny because now I'm on the board for the Winston-Salem Street School.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And those kids kind of went through the same issues and obstacles, I'll say, as I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got bad grades. I didn't focus. I could never really, comprehend what I was, being taught. But yeah, so I went to I attended West Forsyth High School.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I went on. I lived in Greenville for a little bit. Greenville, North Carolina, not too long. Came right back.
What were you doing there?
The girl that I was dating at the time, she went to East Carolina.
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
Yeah,
it was love.
Followed a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So came back, and I was working for a marketing agency in Winston, and I went to the CEO of that company, and I said, "Hey, I think we need to." Promote for smaller companies. I think we need to take on the smaller guys. And he was very focused on taking on the larger companies.
Okay.
He pretty much laughed me out of his office. He said, "No, thanks. That's not where we're going. That's not, going to help this company get to where it needs to get to." And basically shut the door in my face.
That's awkward.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? That's fine. I I said, that's what you want to do. That's fine. But I wanted to go a different direction. So I stepped away from that company and I started another company called NC Corporate Solutions.
Okay.
NC Corporate Solutions is basically the same thing as Mach 1 Marketing. We just restructured in 2020, under a new name.
Mm-hmm.
But it was basically the same thing. It was extremely difficult. I remember getting into it thinking, oh, this shouldn't be too hard. And then, being taught otherwise. It was extremely difficult. I had people in my family telling me that it wouldn't work. Like, stop trying. Don't do that. And it's funny, too, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs. Well, my immediate family, I'm the first entrepreneur, but like my grandfather started Mayflower Seafood Restaurants.
I read that. I mentioned that to Daniel right before we started. I was like, Daniel, his grandfather owned the Mayflower. We used to eat there all the time.
Yeah.
This is just, a little history. So every year, I don't know if you remember, The Wizard of Oz would come on every year, like once on TV.
Oh,
It was before we could have it on VCR or anything. And normally it was on like a Sunday. And we were singers and we always went, to church Sunday morning, Sunday night. It was just like that. Well, my dad loved The Wizard of Oz so much that he would go play the piano and then look at me and say, let's go. And then they would take us to the Mayflower and we would have dinner there. And then we would go and watch The Wizard of Oz as it came on.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm saying, like, some of my memories, knowing that I got to go to the Mayflower and see The Wizard of Oz, are some of kind of core fun
that's
memories.
amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, before you go further, we'll circle back to this.
Sure.
But you have that in your background then. So in your family, you were familiar with small business, restaurants.
Yeah, so
Did that have
I never met my grandfather because he
Okay.
had passed before
Yeah.
I was born. But I've always felt like it was something that I got from him.
Yeah.
And my immediate family though is very, I guess you would say, traditional on how you should do things.
Right.
And,
I understand that.
And go to school, go to college, get a job, work your way up the ladder, and retire at 65 with the retirement fund. I was never a fan of that thought.
So entrepreneurship was kind of frowned upon.
Yeah,
would you say in your family?
It was I guess frowned upon, but also like just way out there. It was just almost like a fantasy. It was like
like a pipe dream.
like a pipe dream is a great way to put it.
Right.
And that, I got some support from, like, my mom has always been supportive, in everything that I've done. My brother has been extremely supportive of anything that I've done. I will say that my brother-in-law, he's in business as well. He's a very, he's a realist. He is extremely, if it's black and white kind of deal. And he was, for I think probably 3 or 4 years, it was like, you need to stop. Like every single conversation, I don't care if it was Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July, my birthday, random cookout, doesn't matter. Hey, you need to put it down. And I remember him saying one time, and he's probably going to see this, and just so you know, I love you, Jimmy. But one conversation that did, got to me for a little bit was, there were smarter people out there that fell.
Wow.
Why do you think you have what it takes? And a part of me almost thinks he was doing it because he knows that is the kind of tough love encouragement that I may needed. I've made it because I went home like during those conversations, and I would have to tell myself like over and over again in my head, you can do it. Yeah. You actually have what it takes. You don't have to be the smartest person out there. You don't have to be, you don't have to go and get a crazy, degree. You don't have to come from a family with tons of money. Like you can do it just how you are, as you are now.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to drill in on this just a little bit
Yeah.
for our listeners' sake, because I've seen that as well. And entrepreneurs need to understand that's part of the challenge of developing a job or career or product in that way as an entrepreneur. That is one of the challenges you're going to face. And everybody's not created the same because, school is important. We ought to always be trying to learn, educate ourselves, and grow. And there's some people not cut out for school.
Yeah.
That's just
Plain
the
and simple,
truth.
yeah.
And I have family that are that way. I have a brother in the medical field, never went to college. He supervises a surgical room with all of that talent and doctors. He was trained by doctors to do that. And it's just a unique situation. So, yeah, education is important. I'm not downing that. But we also need to recognize that people are different.
Absolutely.
And we're cut different. We may learn different. And sometimes people are better suited for a hands-on experience. So, yeah, I wanted to drill down on that because I think that's important.
Well, there was another thing too that I had read. I mean, ultimately, when you were growing up, I mean, marketing wasn't what you wanted to do
No.
at first. What was it? Tell
I
me.
actually wanted to be a Navy SEAL growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I wanted to, so it's funny. I walked downstairs, and just so you know, my dad and I, him and I were absolute best friends. I mean, me and him, I will say it's not the best situation because a lot of times he was more my best friend than my dad. But I would never ever wish anything different between my dad and I because him and I were as close as you can get. And I would always watch TV with him. We'd go throw football together. He would work out together. You know, he was just always there with me no matter where I was, except for school, obviously. And
But you weren't there either.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I wasn't there either. But I walked downstairs one day and he was watching this special about the Navy SEALs, and these guys were pushing themselves to get through this specialized training called BUDS. It's basically the boot camp. It's a 6-month long course, and it's like the hardest thing. It's the hardest military training to get through in the U.S. military, and arguably the world.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some of those,
And it's insane.
It's fascinating, and so many don't make it through it.
Yeah, it's like 95% people don't make it through.
Yeah.
It's insane. Well, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to go out and be a Navy SEAL. I want to travel the world. I want to go out and be a SEAL. Because they got to do the coolest things. They get the best equipment. They get to do the coolest missions. My dad moved to Virginia when I was 14. My mom and dad had split up at that point, and I still wanted to go down that path, but it became a lot harder because when he was in town, like we worked out every day. My dad had taken his half of the garage and made it into a full gym. I mean, we had every piece of equipment you could want. Wow. He decked it out with mirrors, my favorite sports teams, all the flags, jerseys. I mean, it was sweet. He had a refrigerator that had as much Gatorade and water as you could, imagine. It was cool. Yeah. When he moved away, it got a little bit more difficult because where girls started coming in to play. I always wanted to hang out with my girlfriend at the time or go hang out with my friends, and working out started to become a little bit on the back burner.
Yeah.
But I did start to go down that pipeline when I got out of when I finished school eventually, right? When I went and even though I was never there, I was able to finish. So I finished school. I started going down that pipeline, and it was awesome. But for some reason, something always got in the way. At one point, towards 20, I think it was like 2014, 2015, my dad got sick. Mm-hmm. And I always said, hey, I want to wait a little bit because I don't want to be gone if something happened. Right. And then in 2018, he passed away, but my daughter was born, my first daughter. Oh. And at this point, I'm holding my little girl, and I'm like, and I was still in the process of going through. There's a thing called a SEAL mentor. Now, I was already started the business at this point because I needed to make some money. You know, I was
You had started.
Your marketing.
NC Corporate Solutions at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, NC Corporate Solutions. I
You-
had just started NC Corporate Solutions.
But you had already previously worked for the
Marketing company.
marketing company
because
before.
I did know I wanted to do something in marketing if I didn't go down the route of the Navy.
And,
Okay.
and I thought I read too. Your sister was involved.
Yeah,
with
so my
marketing?
sister worked as the marketing director for a corporation,
Okay.
a restaurant corporation. So she brought a lot, of the work home with her.
Yeah.
Where when I was over at her house, I got to see,
So you were exposed to that.
yeah, I
with
was
what
exposed
you
to
did. Okay.
marketing, and it was super interesting, the stuff that she was working on, and I thought it was cool, and I was like, hey, this isn't bad. So I started to go down that rabbit hole.
So you kind of still had Navy SEALs in your mindset, but it kept getting pushed off because
Yeah,
Just life.
life was
life.
happening.
and as soon as my daughter was born, I said, never mind.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
So that's when I started taking the business a little more serious.
Okay.
I in 2020 we rebranded to Mach 1 Marketing, and
And tell a little bit about that name. Why Mach 1 Marketing?
we accelerate business at Mach 1 speed.
All right.
Yeah.
I
And
like
cool
this
logo
side.
too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
cool
I'm
logo.
a
I
big
like
fan
that.
of jets. I like to,
Should be boats though. If you were looking to be a SEAL.
yeah, that's right. But we
I
came
love
up
the
with
planes
it.
too, jets. Yeah.
Yeah, we came up with it.
But
and
it was because Mach 1 is where the sound barrier isn't that breaks.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So
yeah,
That's cool.
I really like the thought process behind that.
yeah.
Okay, so you are up and running this company. Tell our listeners and our viewers, like, how did you go about getting your first client? Like, what was that like?
So it's funny when I first started. Well, so NC Corporate Solutions was when I got my first client technically, because Mach 1 Marketing, any client that we had with NC Corporate Solutions, I just rolled over into
Yeah.
Mach 1 Marketing when
Yeah.
we rebranded, of course. It's so funny. A buddy of mine and I started NC Corporate Solutions,
Okay.
and we were sitting around, and I was like, dude, I want to do social media. That's where I find the most interest. That's where I think the growth is, and that's where I have talent. And he was like, great, let's go find a client. I was like, all right, what do we do? And we were
Isn't
like,
that funny? You get all excited and like, let's go do it.
yeah.
Where do we start?
It was funny because like we didn't really we had a business plan, but as good as two young little, guys that really had no idea what they were doing, that business plan was just about that good.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good. So, we just started. I went on Facebook and I started finding people that I knew that had businesses, and I was like, hey, need help? The first client, I will admit, was a complete failure. I will say, I did not have systems in place, processes. At the time, I thought, okay, a client hires us, we go, we launch a couple, ads, and we're done. And it wasn't that.
No.
And, it was funny because it showed. Now, granted, this client paid, pennies. Like, I'm talking
Sure.
pennies on the dollar of what anything that we did, if done right, would be worth.
Right.
So, and it was, I think our first client paid $200.
Oh,
That
wow.
was, $200 for, a month long, a bit of work.
Yeah.
And, it was just, we learned a lot from it. And then our second client, actually, we got traction. We actually did pretty good. Our third client, we did even better. And then next thing you know, we started building out processes and systems, and we were doing all right. My business partner decided to go a different route because he had another business that he owned before, coming into Mach 1 or NC Corporate Solutions at the time. And I told him, I said, we need more of your time,
Mm-hmm.
and he was extremely good at what else he did.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very successful business owner now with what he does.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good fit for us both, but I then picked up the business and went with it. And
Well, you
fun.
had what you did have together. It seems like, was you grew some experiential knowledge
Yeah.
at that point, and then it sounds like that you created infrastructure and in some way, and then workflow.
Yes, absolutely. Now it wasn't the best workflow. I mean, like, as far as the process and systems, we still had a lot to learn. It wasn't until Mach 1 marketing, when I actually not figured it out, because I still have a lot to learn. But when I realized, okay, X, Y, and Z needs to happen before we do this. And it's when I started to get things, really going.
And did you have to find another team to put together, or was that you were figuring out, made Mach 1, and then you started hiring some stuff out, or how did that?
Yeah, so I had a very long story short. When I started Mach 1, it was only me. I did have a small team with NCCS, but there was some come and go there, some turnover, and then going into Mach 1, and when I restructured, it just so happened at the time that it was just me. So I was the only person in the business, and there was a lot to. Yeah.
And by this point, you have daughter. At this point, did you have both of your daughters?
No, just one at the time.
Just one at the time. And I mean, at this point, you have to make it work, or
Yes.
you have to go work somewhere else.
Yeah. Now I did pick up my brother-in-law. He runs the East Coast Wings here in Kernersville, the one in Greensboro. So like, there were a couple times where I'd go and pick up something here or there to
Bridge the gap
because life is expensive, especially when you're reinvesting a lot of
your
your revenue into the business, which is what I was doing. The business took off the most. It's funny because a lot of sometimes people think that there are silver linings in bad situations, which I 100% agree with, and it's definitely the case here. When my wife and I at the time, we got divorced. Still great friends. We had different goals,
sure,
and different views on things, and we just realized that we were better off as friends than in marriage. So we started to my first baby, my daughter, she would spend time with her, then she'd spend time with me. We'd go back and forth, and when I didn't have her, I would just be working around the clock.
Gotcha.
Morning till I went to bed. I wake up, work until I go to bed at night, and that's when the company took off. That's when the company did way better than it's done in the past.
Yeah, so you were able to pour yourself into that. You had the time to do that.
Yeah,
and help that grow.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of entrepreneurs, man. It's just a struggle sometimes to balance everything. You're learning, you're facing all of these challenges. Sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes you have to step aside and supplement.
Yeah.
Man, we've been down that road. That's part of it. I think that's an important thing for people to understand. But don't let that detour you from doing what you're passionate about, because keep at it. And we've heard that at this table many times, haven't we? Keep at it, and eventually that'll pay off for you. And I mean, is that what you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Felt like you experienced?
I was in a position where, for the first time in a long time, I had an empty house.
Yeah.
There was, my daughter wasn't there.
Right.
Her mother wasn't there. So I'm like, I'm gonna take advantage of it, and just worked.
What did it feel like when Mach 1 was happening? I know you already had some clients roll over from the previous one, but what does it feel like when people actually come to you and you didn't have to find them?
Oh, that's it. It's the best feeling. I actually had it this morning before I came
Really?
here today. Yeah, I had a client call me last month, or a prospect call me last month and say, hey, you're with Mach 1, and I said, yes, sir. And they were telling me about their business and what they want to do, and they were like, we want to meet with you, this day, this time, and it kind of worked out, perfect timing, and they came in today and we talked about doing business, and they said yes on the spot, and we shook hands, and we were good to go. That's the best feeling, is when that there's a reason why they contacted you, and it's because they trust you, and it's because that they need something that you're able to provide, and that's the best feeling.
Yeah. This market, I think it's so important, and what you do is so important.
Yeah, it is.
For small businesses, because a lot of owners want to try to do all this themselves. It's almost impossible to do. And I know I was challenged to do that as well. Just with our background, our businesses had to do some of that, learn some of that. Yeah. And it was a big relief to have somebody to help in that area, which we were able to do, to take that off of my plate. But one thing I find with I remember early on, and I know Daniel's not on camera, he's our extraordinary engineer and makes a lot of this, almost all this happen, makes us look good. But I remember early on, when websites became a thing, was HTML. So I learned that language really quick. And I want to make a point here. And then I stepped away from it like a year, and I came back and was like, what has happened to all of this? Because it changed.
Oh, it's ever changing.
Yeah, ever changing. And so I think even with what you do with social media, it's changing like crazy.
It is.
Marketing, digital marketing is blowing up across the U.S. economy, the global economy. Probably $750 billion part of the global economy. I think there's some of the stats that I read. But it's an ever-changing thing, ever-evolving thing. And I see that even on Facebook, the platform, the way you advertise, the way you do business, everything is it's evolving, changing. So people need somebody like you to help navigate all that. Because your mission statement is to help small businesses connect with their target
audience.
Yeah. That's really what this is all about.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what you help do through social media. And you have to have a footprint there. I've been thinking about that a lot because of what we do and the people we are introduced to here. And we talk about social media a lot.
Yeah, we do.
It's a big topic, yeah.
Yeah, it is huge. And I can't imagine hardly any business, because that's one thing I was thinking about. What kind of business where you would not want probably a legal business of some sort.
Stop. Yeah. Stay on target.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
We're not going to
go.
You
need. Well, I don't know what you're thinking. I'm just saying it's an important thing for. I can't imagine a business not wanting some kind of footprint.
Yeah. So our service. So we have 3 services. We specialize in social media marketing. We also do website development, design, and SEO. For anyone who doesn't know, SEO is your online ranking on the search engines. It's search engine optimization.
Yes.
But
and by the way, thank you for saying that, because I thought about SEO this morning. I'm not going to be able to say optimization. I'm going to end up messing that up. So thank you.
Hey, you said it great. You said it great.
Thank you for taking care of that for me.
Yeah, but so everyone in business has a audience. If you don't, you really got to reevaluate what you're doing, because that's an issue. Everyone has a target audience. It could even be donors for a nonprofit. People that want to donate. It could be for volunteers if you're in nonprofit. Yeah. It could be your ideal target as a client if you're in the service business, or your ideal customer in a product business. There are so many different ways. You just have to get your message across. That's all that is. It's storytelling. And that's the simplest way to put out there. What is marketing? Marketing is storytelling. I look at it as a very defined difference between marketing and sales, where sales is convincing someone. Yep. Marketing is educating them. Yep.
That's really good.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Really
we tell people sales is to convincing, whereas marketing is educating. And we have a small team now, at Mach 1, and we tell them, we don't sell, we educate. Yeah. We educate what value we bring, and we have guarantees in place that make it risk-free for our clients. Yeah. And yeah, we do the different various tasks to bring in new clients. We do the cold calling, we do the messaging, we do the DMs, we do the Facebook ads, we do the Google ads. But when we do contact with someone through those portals, whether it be Facebook or a cold call or an email or a Instagram DM, we're basically just educating them on who we are and what value we bring to them and how we could change their life. What's going to be different 6 months from now if they hire us versus if they don't.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this: what what is different. I mean, if somebody's starting, okay, fresh business, they don't have a lot of capital. Where would you start them?
At the bank. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, definitely kidding. No, I always joke with people saying if you don't, there's different ways of raising funds if you need to. But no, in all seriousness, we gotta identify who your company is. Your company has an identity.
Yes.
Just like you do. Your company is a separate entity. I love it when I get it. People in the office and they're like, I am the company, or my demographic is everyone. Oh, who's your ideal target? Oh, everybody. What? What did you say? No, everybody's my target. No, that's not the case. Okay, like if you had 100 people in the room, what one person is most likely? Not the only person. I'm not saying they're the only person going to buy from you, but who's the one person who's most likely to purchase your product or service, or to do whatever you need them to do, and what makes them that way? What characteristics? Right. What behaviors? What's their? Is there a certain income? Is there an age bracket? Is there a gender bracket? Yeah. Is there? Are they a homeowner? Are they not a homeowner? Are do they have kids? Are they married? Do they like jet skis? Are they into camping? That kind of thing. All those things go into play when you're identifying, your demographic.
Right. And by identifying the demographic, really you're putting a blueprint together of how to tell that story.
Yes.
In the most effective way.
Once you realize who your demographic is, then you can tail back a little bit and figure out, okay, where are they at? And where are they at is a big part of how you reach to them. How do you reach out? What's the best method of contacting them and getting your story across. So when I say contact, I don't mean like a cold call. I'm saying like, what do we need to go Facebook or do we need to go Instagram? Yeah. Do we need to go Google? Should we do a video or should we do a carousel ad? These are different things that have different results come out of it because of the fact that they're very different ads.
I mean, the amount of time, maybe it just becomes second nature after you learn kind of the beast of whatever, if that's Facebook, if that's Instagram, you start, getting your finger on the pulse of how this one works and how this one works. And then you are very fluent in all of those languages, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is it feels very mountainous to a lot of small businesses, is that they're just never going to figure out what makes Facebook tick, what makes Instagram. Should it be TikTok? How do you go about these things? And so I think some of them just get so discouraged that truly some of the downfall, it's not their business was bad. It's not anything like that. But I think some of them fail or close up shop because they didn't have the time to put into their business and to learn a whole new world over here. And that's kind of sometimes what it feels like. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. And to be honest, if anyone can understand that feeling, it's us at Mach 1. Because not only are we learning our client's business, we're always continuing to learn our own business, but we're also learning, what we do at a deeper level because it's ever changing. Digital media is changing on a consistent basis. Whether it be through Facebook or Instagram, any social media platform, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, those are always changing. But so is Google. So is, WordPress, the platform we use to build websites. So is the 10 other softwares that we use on a daily basis. So
and they don't send out like, hey, guess what? We're changing some things.
Nope.
You just have to figure it out.
They do some, articles here and there, but very rarely do we ever
and you read it
see
in
those.
It's Greek.
That's
what it is.
Yeah.
It's just
well,
Greek.
my family's from Greece, so I wish it was.
No,
I'm just kidding. But it's very, very complex. But also, we want to beat it before we even that comes out. We want to be right there on the cusp of learning it as it's changing. You know, and it's hard to do that. Also understand our own business and learn more about our individual business, and learn, because every client that works with us has a client profile, and it's a little red folder. It's on our drives, but everyone actually has a hard copy as well of a client folder, and these client folders are thorough. You know, it goes into every client. You know, every client has one. It goes into their business, their goals, their demographic, you know, their target audience. Goes into any campaigns we've done in the past. I mean, there's a lot of information in there. So for us to have to do all of those client folders, client profiles, learn about our own business, and keep up with the ever-changing world of digital media, you know, it's a lot. But it's a requirement. It's either that or pack up. You know, you can't, if you're not willing to do the work and learn, then you got to really reevaluate, you know, how much you want it. You know, again, it's harder done than actually said, but you have to figure out a way to find yourself and to build that self-discipline to where you're able to skip out on dinner with your friends, to, you know, read a couple articles, read a book, watch some videos, whatever the case may be, that however you learn the best. That's also a big thing, is you have to figure out how you learn.
That's so true.
Yeah, I mean,
great point right here.
I'm a big video guy. I like to sit down and watch videos, right?
Yeah.
Or bullets and points. Okay, give me one or the other. Give me videos or give me bullets and points. You know.
Yeah.
But some people, my brother learns better off reading, so he needs, you know, he reads a lot of books. You got to figure out a way to find and to narrow in your focus and to learn the things you need to learn in business. You know, and find the resources too.
Yeah, and the business is different as well, because if you have a brick and mortar providing a service, so your approach to that's going to be one way. If you're an entrepreneur providing maybe a product, and you can go beyond the triad, North Carolina or the U.S., I mean, that's a different approach, selling in that way. And I think it comes down to, we're so driven by this.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I think what is important, I know for me, because this happens all the time, if I'm dealing with a business, whether that is a frustrating thing on this side for me or a pleasant thing for me, and it makes me feel about that business a certain way. And it may not be their fault. It may be just, this side of it on the client side, learning about that business or seeking information is such a struggle or a problem, then you get frustrated and it makes you feel bad about that business. And again, the business may be great. So I know some restaurants I go into, and recently, they bring me the receipt to pay, and I'm able to scan that QR code and pay right here on my phone, and I'm done. I can tip, and man, that was so easy. Made me feel better about that experience. Or if I'm trying to find information, I know some of the people we've had in here, they have some amazing websites. You go and look, and they're beautiful. Or the social media footprint is beautiful. And you look at it, and it's a very pleasant thing to see versus a frustrating thing. So I think that's something that's also has to come into play is the client or customer side viewing this stuff. What is their experience like? And I know you're trying to take the pain out of all of that for that owner or entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Marketing is one of those things where if you don't get right, you'll spend a lot of money, and there'll be a lot of money wasted. There's other departments in business, other areas in business that you can kind of kick the can down the road as you learn. Right? Marketing is not one of them. No. You need to identify who your demographic is pretty quickly. You can do certain things to do that, like such as A/B testing and a multitude of other items that you can do, but you got to figure that out. Now, there's a lot of ways you can figure out how to figure that out. Resources are everywhere. Yeah. There are nowadays. It's the easiest time in the world to gather information, to learn something, and it's not just online. I mean, downtown Winston, I know a lot of those resources because I'm there. I'm in downtown. But you have the Small Business Center. You have Winston Starts. You have Spark over there on Bailey Park, across from Bailey Park. You have all these different and incredible resources that, you sign up for these courses. You download Eventbrite, the app, and you go down and you look up, business socials or business events, and it pops up, 20 different seminars, 5 seminars on marketing, 5 seminars on sales, whatever the case may be. And you go to them and you attend them and you simply sit down and you learn about whatever the case may be.
And
we
how's
hold
that
events.
helped you?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I've worked with a business coach too,
And how has that helped you?
working with a business coach was, I don't even know how to word it because how to word it rightly, because she makes me think of things that I would have never thought of, and she makes me think outside the box. How to develop discipline. How to go about finding the right lead. Finding a bunch of leads sounds great, but if they're tire kickers, then you're just wasting time, and that's money that you're spending.
They need to be qualified leads.
Got to be qualified leads,
Right.
and that's a big part of our business, not only for us but for our clients. So that was, and also Marianne has a background in marketing, so obviously it was a good match.
The idea of a business coach is not something that I've really heard ever until right now. I mean, truly, that kind of title is not thrown around. So did you come to know you needed a business coach through the other resources and seminars that you sat through? And networked with those people in there? Is that how you found?
So I found a business coach by going to one of her events. I forgot what it was, but it was an event that she was throwing. But that wasn't until more recent years. I mean, that was 2 years ago. So it wasn't. I don't want to say. I mean, she was an incredible part of our growth, but there was a lot of growth before that as well. And I think that was the resources that I was utilizing, such as the Small Business Center, or the what's it called? A couple different other companies. They had Venture Cafe, for example, was a big thing back in before COVID. 2019, 2018. There was an event called Venture Cafe. And that was an incredible place to meet people, but also to learn, because they held seminars and stuff. Yeah, which is something that we do now.
Okay, cool.
So Mach 1 Marketing, we're going to be updating those dates on our site. The site does not reflect that page right now because that's been hidden, but we will be posting those dates, and basically people can come to our office. We have some large conference rooms that people can, we're going to be putting 20, 30 chairs in there with some tables, and we'll supply food and whatnot, so people can get refreshments. But we'll go over like a 4-hour block on marketing, or we'll do a 2-hour block on sales. We might do an 8-hour block of an entire how to start a startup. And these are different ways that we can help people learn just a little bit of how to get started, because that's all it takes. Is people don't understand that the first step to starting a business is to get started.
Yeah.
Just to get started. Right. You don't have to be an expert yet.
You don't have to have all the answers at the beginning.
Not at all. You don't have to have all the answers.
Because you may never start it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the thing is if I waited until I knew everything when I started my business, I wouldn't own a business today.
I think it's important too. It's another very important point, because I've seen that through my lifetime. And I know we've struggled with that personally with our businesses in the past. We do the same thing. It's just like and I'm very bad at that. Try to figure everything out ahead of time instead of just let's get in it, start making it happen, and as we learn, we can pivot and move.
Yeah,
and
I'm a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit. Yeah. Daniel is.
But a lot of times
so
you
good.
can get so stagnant, you never do anything.
Well, yeah. So I go back to your point of how people learn, and so for me, I'm a very collaborative person. I know that about myself. I can do things alone, but I would rather do them with. Daniel and I have been in business together or done design or creative work for like 30 years. So I love what he brings to the table, and the way that he learns is completely opposite to the way, I mean, you could not be more opposite to people, but we get it in the middle. And I like to hear it. I'm not one of those people that can sit down and just watch all kinds of long YouTube videos. Like, it's just not me. I think I was in church so much when I was little that when people started talking, I just completely fell asleep because I wasn't allowed to move around a lot. I think this is a therapy session for a minute, but I'm saying you have to get honest with yourself as a business owner.
Absolutely.
Of where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are.
Yep.
And not feel bad that they're not your strengths. That
Yep.
doesn't mean you don't try to strengthen them along the way, but I am more comfortable knowing that I'm good in this section. I'm really, really good in this lane. And Daniel is really, really, really good in this lane. And Lamar is really, really good in this lane. And then the communication, I love that too, to figure out how do we communicate with each other? What's the psychology behind that? All of those things just fascinate me. Now, at the end of the day, I want a product. I want to create a business that is profitable. So we have to be wise, about how we go, obviously how you go about those things. But I definitely would say, I'll ask you this question. Do you think at this point in where you're at in your business, do you think that you could run the business completely by yourself right now?
Not a chance.
Okay.
I hate to say this, but there are some areas in the business that some people do. I have no idea how they do it.
That's my full point right there.
I have a business manager. Her name is Tanya. And some of the stuff that Tanya does, I don't know what software she uses. I don't know. I know the name of it. I don't know how it works. I know how much it costs because it's in the budget, but I don't know how it works. I don't know how to log in. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't know how to go about handling, how to run reports. That I couldn't do. No.
You're like, right now, I just want to say, like, you're giving me so much more confidence and understanding because I really do feel like, because it is my business, or I'm the co-owner, that I'm supposed to know how to do everything that there is. And I'm just coming to the realization of what you're saying right now. It's like, this is my lane. If you let me loose in my lane, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
But if I go over here, I'm going to slow us down.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to that on a deep level. My brother, okay. You'd have to know my brother to really get his personality. He's incredible. I love my brother. Him and I are like best friends. I give him a lot of crap because we're brothers.
Duh, yeah.
We're brothers. Like, we give each other a lot of banter. My mom hates it. She always thinks we're serious. We're like, we yell at each other, or we act like we're going to fight. In reality, we're never actually going to fight. It's just, brotherly banter.
And you're Greek.
And we're Greek. It's just part of it, right? It's just part of it, The bad words that I could say right now in Greek, but I'm not going to.
Give us something.
No.
Just something.
Maybe off the air.
Okay.
Yeah, but the other day, he has a very out there personality, very and not in a bad way, but he has no filter. He has zero filter. This guy will literally say whatever is on his mind.
Sounds like some people I know.
I don't know who you're talking about.
He has no. I mean, like, I think clinically he has no filter. Whatever part in the brain that is, he does not have.
Y'all must be related.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, sorry, Daniel. I'm hitting the mic. I'm sorry.
But it's pretty hilarious. So you asked me, we were driving the other day. We were in the car, and he was like, "Hey, Austin, if you had to lose one employee right now, who would you lose?" And I was like, I couldn't. I was like, there's no one. Like, you don't understand. If I had to lose a team member on the Mach 1 marketing team, it'd have to be me. Like, I can't survive without these people. These people run the business. They are the lifeline of the business. I mean, I do as much as I possibly can to show them the appreciation, because of what they do, and they know like that's them. You know, we have a girl named Hannah who runs social media. Without her, who's gonna run the social media? I don't have time to run the whole social media campaign or the whole social media part of our business. You know, if there are so many areas in the business that, you know, again, just like Tanya, I mean, Hannah does things, you know, she does certain things on her end in the strategy component that I do it differently, but how she does it is just, it's incredible. And I would not try to oversee her in a way to me to, you know, trying to tell her how to do it. She knows that she's super creative. She knows exactly what she's doing, and I just kind of let her run with it.
That's something that has been said at this table in many different ways, but one particular guest said it this way: I surrounded myself with the right people and left them alone and let them do what they
Absolutely,
do best.
100%. And that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
Once you get to the point where you can step away and let them do what they do, you know that you have done a good job at building that team.
And I think that's so important for our listeners and viewers to understand. To be a successful business owner, you have to be able to relinquish parts of this stuff to people that, you know, you believe can run it. And the fact of the matter is, they may not always stay there. But you know what a right person looks like for that job, so you're going to be able to hopefully find someone else should that ever happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you know enough about what your company needs. And so you may not know how to run that part, but you know what it takes from a person to run that part. And that's part of being a good business owner is identifying that.
But it also helps your team too. I mean, there's a lot of principles that are being discussed here that are being taught now a lot, being pushed out a lot, and they're very good principles, and that's allowing that team member what they're good at to be able to do that. You know what you want your business to accomplish overall, but those different various parts, if you have a team member that takes ownership of that and is passionate about that as well, you may not know all the ins and out of it, but you know they're getting the job done.
And they know they're getting the job done.
Yes, that's what was my point, is that is a very fulfilling thing for them as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
just this morning, we had an early team meeting this morning, and both Hannah and Tanya, you know, they both spoke up and they wanted more. They wanted more. And that you know, was a very satisfying thing to see. Is they were like, hey, what else can we do? Let's take some of the weight off of your plate. And so we were talking about, you know, some of the things that we need to do. And, you know, we joked around with Hannah like, hey, you're running point. And it was funny because she had never heard that saying at that point.
Oh, really?
So, you know, we called in someone else from the office to see if he's heard of it. We just made a big joke out of it. But we try to keep things, you know, fun in the office. But, I mean, they both wanted to bring in more on their plate. They're the right people for the job.
Yeah, and that's good for you as an owner, because then it allows you, the more you can get freed up and they handle those things, it elevates you to a point where you can look at the business at a different level to expand it, to grow it even more, or move into another area that you're interested in to help grow that business overall.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that we want to start working with these other businesses, you know, within those seminars that I was speaking about earlier. That's the one thing that I learned from Marianne, I think probably more than anything else, was to stop. Well, she taught me how to not work so much in the business, but on the business.
Exactly. And we've heard that too.
That's last week.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very important thing to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I, you know, titles I feel like get thrown around a lot. And titles, people, in my opinion, misread what titles mean. In my opinion, if you have a title on your business, if your business card says president or CEO, you're not telling me that you're successful. You're telling me that you've surrounded yourself with smart people, and that's what matters. You know, we're all in this business. I mean, you're in business to provide a service or product, or to support a mission. You're there for one of the three reasons. Very rare. I'm sure you can come up with a couple examples of how that's not the case, but not many.
Yeah.
You're either there to provide a service or product, or to support a mission, a cause, and that's simply what we're trying to do. Is everyone's trying to develop a team to get that done, to accomplish a task, to accomplish a single goal, and then to go from there.
So Austin, let me circle back to something that way back that when you first started, you worked for a company that wasn't interested in the small businesses.
Which, by the way, they went out of business. Just saying.
Yeah.
But
That's
So
a good
why were you to that aspect of things?
Because I saw it firsthand. My uncle still owns the Mayflower out there in Rural Hall. My other uncle owns the Mayflower in Peters Creek. They, they're in the restaurants every day. I mean, they're closed on Monday, and my uncle in Rural Hall takes off on Wednesdays. Besides that, he's there, open to close, and he's grinding, and he's in great shape, but he is an older guy. To see him working as hard as he is, just to make it in the same way that maybe another company that's corporate doesn't have to work as hard. The smaller businesses don't have the advantages that these larger companies do. And I set out because I want to give the small companies the same advantages as the larger companies have. I want to even the playing field, because the small business is where the growth is. It's where our friends work. It's where our families work. It's the economy that, my daughter goes to school with a couple people who own restaurants here in town. So why not go support her friends' restaurants? Like, I feel like it's why go give your money to some big corporation when you can give it to someone who's actually going to notice the difference, someone who's actually going to appreciate you being there.
Right.
And so important today. I mean, over 95% of all business in the country is small businesses.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's what it is. That's the facts. And small business really is what makes a community very special. That's what makes, I know, Kernersville and all the other towns in the Triad, and even in Winston-Salem. I mean, it's a big place.
Yeah.
But it is small businesses that matter, and we're seeing a lot of trend toward that. I see that, supporting local, and I really feel for restaurants. You talk about that because the economy is just killing the pricing and things. You've heard a lot about that in the last 6 months. The price, even going to a corporate place, getting a hamburger, the prices through the roof.
Gosh.
Things.
Yeah.
So I know it's affecting their bottom line. So it's obvious you have a passion for small business. The way you talk about.
Yeah.
That.
What are you? So I mean, coming to kind of close out, what are your goals? Like, I want to.
What's next?
I want to know what your goals.
So for one, of course, I want to continue to grow Mach 1. I do have a couple other companies that I'm involved with. I want to help those grow as well. And I want to continue to help small businesses, and I want to make it to where other people want to help small businesses. I don't need to be the guy who owns the market. I just want to be someone who influences others to go out and do the same thing.
That's perfect.
I want to be the guy who,
Well said.
if someone wants to start a business, I want them to feel like they can come talk to me, and I'll take them in and to help them any way I can. Yeah. I just want to simply see more people happy by. It's funny because the one thing that's frustrating more than anything else in the world is entrepreneurship. Yeah. But it's also the thing that's going to make you just really reflect and just so proud of yourself and just love where your life has gone.
Yeah, I mean, we have this time, and I think people hear that phrase and it feels very cliche. Mm-hmm. But the older I get,
so true though.
It is so true.
Yeah.
Yesterdays are truly gone, and we don't know how many tomorrows there are to come. And so to do something that really creates joy and has the potential to make you proud of yourself, I think that's a great thing. I think you're productive when you're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I think that you're more confident to grow your business when you're proud of yourself and
Absolutely.
proud of the work and confident in
Yeah.
that.
And then that should lead to giving back and also mentoring, which you've talked about,
Yeah.
and people and all of that. Yeah, extremely
Yeah,
important.
Yeah.
So-
I agree. My brother actually, like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, he randomly texted me and he was like, "Hey, does your company do anything for the for like the local charities?" And I was like, "Yeah, we donate here, and we donate once a year to this place, and we donate on a monthly basis to this place." You're able, just like piggyback off what you were saying, when you're in business, you're able to do things that you wouldn't get to do if you didn't choose that path.
Yes.
One thing, like one of my favorite things that I get to do is to be a positive influence for people at the Winston-Salem Street School, the students there.
Yeah.
And such an incredible program. So many people don't know about it, which I hope some people will get to know about it now. But
Check it out, everybody, in Winston-Salem Street School.
And I'm going to try. I haven't heard of it. So it's
it's
fascinating.
an incredible program. I just got on the board a few months ago, and I told them I can't wait to take part in that. And one of the cool things that I get to do here in the next couple of weeks, I get to start going to the school and teaching an entrepreneur program to the students.
That's awesome.
So I get to go and whoever's interested in entrepreneurship, it's not for everyone in a way that if you don't choose to be an entrepreneur, that's completely okay.
Yeah.
If you choose to be an entrepreneur, they can come to this program, and the students can come to this program, and we can just have an awesome talk about the different aspects of it and how to grow a business.
Yeah, I think it's important. Even at my age, I have taken advantage of mentors, even much younger than me, and what a joy and blessing has been for me to be able to sit down and just like give me some advice.
Yeah.
I felt
help
that.
me.
I felt that heavy with one of my mentors, that he had you would have never assumed that this guy, I'll explain why, but you would have never assumed this guy would have gave me the time of day.
Yeah.
And not saying he's not nice. He's a super awesome guy, but his name is David Mounts, and he was at the time the CEO of Inmar Intelligence, which is downtown Winston.
Mm-hmm.
They have thousands of employees.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
It's
massive company.
Yeah.
This guy, if you look it up, he's worth like over $100 million. I mean, he's a big fish. When I during Venture Cafe by 2018, he came into an event, and I was just kind of in his way. Like, he was walking, everybody was trying to get to him. He was walking to an event, that I was kind of just in the way. He came up to me and he shook my hand and he started talking to me, and he said, "Tell me the biggest challenge in your business." And I told him. And he said, "All right, now tell me the coolest part of your business." And I told him. And he said, "Awesome. Do you want to sit with me in the event?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Does anyone say no to that?" "Yeah, absolutely. I want to sit with you." I felt like I was about to leave too at that point, but I had completely changed my plans as soon as he asked me that. He said, "You want to come sit with me at the event?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." He's one of the sponsors for that at the Venture Cafe. So I went and sat with him, and the next Venture Cafe, he came up to me again, and we started talking, and he invited me and a couple other people out to dinner that night. And so at the time, I called my wife at the time. I was like, "Hey, just so you know, I will be home late. Like, don't expect me right now. I'm going out to dinner with David Mounts and all his people." So we went out, and he started mentoring me. He started giving me advice. He started telling me how to overcome certain obstacles, and that's when I learned the true power of mentors, kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
And that's when I started taking on more mentors. But I will always say, I think my biggest mentor down the road of business was David Mounts.
Yeah. That's a great story, and
I hope he hears this.
Yeah.
I mean, are you still in contact?
Yeah, we're still in contact. He's a lot.
So you could clip this out and just like send it to him.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
I mean, you got to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then maybe he'll come on our podcast. We would like for you to come on our podcast.
Yeah, let's
absolutely.
do it.
yeah,
Let's
I've
do
had
it, David.
similar
Let's get,
experience with that. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's incredible. Awesome.
Take
Thanks
take a break from Vegas and come to the podcast.
Thanks for
He flies a
sharing
lot.
that.
So tell us, what is the best way for our listeners and viewers to find Mach 1?
Yes, just visit our website, mach1marketing.com, and you can get a hold of us there. We have a form that you can contact us through, or our phone number's on there, our emails. Every form of communication is through there.
And since you're a social media guru, what social media? All the platforms?
Yeah,
Or
we
which
have
ones?
all the platforms. So
Okay.
however they want to find us through, whatever platform, they just look us up,
Yeah.
Mach 1 Marketing, or they can look me up specifically at Austin Moody,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Well, this has been a great conversation,
Yeah,
and I
thank
think
you.
so very helpful to us and to also anyone who has taken the time to listen to this. You'd be crazy not to have taken some major nuggets away from this conversation.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thanks for adding the value. I really feel like this was
Yeah.
very, very valuable.
Yes.
How about you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just full of value. This is what we're wanting to accomplish.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we want to thank Austin Moody for coming on our small business leaders at Legacy Podcast Studios. We would love to have you as a guest if you own a small business and you want to know more about being a guest on this podcast. You can contact us at Legacy Podcast Studio. That's our website. That's our socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
place.
all over the place. Yes. So, and also, we always want to mention that if you have a voice and you have something that you want to put out there in a podcast kind of way, but you don't want to do all the technical things to set a studio up, this is the perfect place for you to come and to tell the world what you have on your heart. So with that, we say thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.